Dude.
One more time. Come on, give me the gong. Come on. It's supposed to be a gong there. You know, we'll do an applause. We'll do a nice little applause. Maybe the gong's ready. There it is. Dang you, StreamYards, dang you. Well, Dunk is here, otherwise known as Babak, otherwise known as Egg. Thank you for joining. This is the final episode of the Night of the Seven Kingdoms recap show. Obviously, we're going to be back in June. I can't wait for some hot D. But before I get started, I want to say congratulations to the American hockey team for winning the gold over Canada. Hey, hey, yo! I'm. You know, if you're Canadian, you're fine. You got the best hockey in the world. You know, you're fine. But that was a really big win. I think about 8 years ago, we also took it in a overtime game against Canada, also winning the gold. So this is becoming a pattern there, Canucks. Hi, Lily. And also say hello to Babak and, of course, Lady Lily. Hi, darling. Doing your ABCs. Hi. Oh, look at that. Oh, I love it when it's all smiles. I hope it doesn't turn the other way. But if it does, right? It's just as adorable when it does.
She is a great crier.
Yeah. I heard she did a lot of it recently.
She'll turn on a dime.
Well, I want to quickly get to the people because it looks like we got some more comments than usual to start the show off, which is great. Okay. And we have like our favorite person ever when we started doing. It was either House of the Dragon. I think it was House of the Dragon way back then. We have Ash D. Hey guys, been a minute. Excited for this chat. Oh, it's good to see you.
Yeah.
Cheers, my lady Ash D. Yeah, because I know she hung in there with us. You know, you doing a retrospective and me seeing Game of Thrones for the first time. So
epic.
We also got my boy Protein. Good to see you all. Looking forward to this one. Great finale. Yeah, indeed it was. Indeed it was. Did I say that wrong? Night of the Seven Kingdom. Yeah, I might have. GOT is
Nine Kingdoms.
GOT is still the goat, but yes, this show is so great. Agreed. And I want to say hello to Movie Malice. Hello. So thanks for being here. And I also want to say hello to this guy, Babak, who said, we drink your cinnamon. Thank you very much. We love you, Babak. Thanks for being here. Well, let's kick this one off. First thing I'm going to make one quick statement and then we'll move on from there. Makor is just like an absolute, he's just awesome in this episode. It was so cool to see. And I guess it's even cooler in the book, which we'll get to later, but I guess he's even cooler than the way they decide to end it. How do I even talk with that smile? How do you get through your day, Babak, with that smile? Well, that probably gets you through your day, right? Yeah. But yeah, I loved this episode. What a great way to end it. I guess the book, there was only like 2 or 3 pages left after the actual battle and the death of Baelor. So it was good that it was good to see that they could actually make like a 30-minute episode out of what they had to work with. And our opening shot, which is kind of weird. It was like started with a jazz song, which is kind of weird. But this was our opening shot. And it was good to see.
The music off the opening. One of the great things that I do love about this show is that their music is so good. I mean, starting out with like jazz, I thought I was playing one of my playlists accidentally over the TV, and I kept checking my receiver to make sure that it was actually playing the sound from the TV. You know, just because I was like, jazz? No, come on now, you know, or blues.
Dude,
or whatever.
how adorable is this comment from SG? Because she remembers when Lily was way tinier. She's like, I remember.
That's right. That's
I remember when she was a little baby.
I know, and she's a big girl now. Just turned 3 years old on Saturday. So
Wow.
I'll tell you, she's a big girl now. She's all grown up.
She's grown up before your very eyes, people.
It's amazing.
You know? I want to say hello to Sylvia, your lovely artist. Hi, thank you for being here. Welcome. I'm not 100% positive if I've seen you before, so awesome to have you here. I appreciate you. So yeah, I love that this opened up with Lionel Baratheon because I wasn't sure. I mean, we knew he lived, but I didn't know how much more he was going to be in it, because I don't really think he's in much more of the book aside from what he does in this episode, which is sort of proposition Dunk to go with him to what is it? Summerhall?
I think the summer hall was actually Maycor.
My bad. Yeah. That's right. Because Lionel Baratheon lives.
He mentions Tarth, and so I'm like, hold on, is this because the Baratheons aren't from Tarth? But I think he was just saying we'll go, we'll visit Tarth or wherever. Maybe Tarth is an island near the Baratheon stronghold or something. But yeah, I'm not sure.
And I was also just reminded that when Game of Thrones begins, the king is King. Is it Louis Baratheon? What is his name? King something Baratheon.
Oh, gosh, brain fart.
The big fat guy.
Robert Baratheon? Is it Robert?
Something like that? Yeah. And I was like, oh shit, that's right. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, because he's the stag. You know, and so that's their sigil, and I love that they, at first when we were checking out when Dunk first meets up with a Fossaway, the nice Fossaway, the green apple, and he's like, "Hey, you hungry?" And they end up in the Baratheon tent, and at first I thought that they had like a whole leg of like goose or something, but then everything is stag, everything, and because I've rewatched this so many times now. And Lionel at that point says, eat your, because he's like, because anyone tell me, yeah, subscriber.
Thank you. Continue. Sorry, sir.
Oh, yeah, no. He's like, hey, can anyone tell me, like who invented the joust if it wasn't the gods or whatever? And then no one has an answer. And he's like, eat your stag and let's dance already. Like, and I was like, that is stag. It makes sense to be eating stag. Everything. Where would they get all the antlers from?
Yeah.
It's like antler everything. Antler crutch.
I fucking love this Maester. He's just worthless.
He was literally
he's like coming to his wounds, sir. Yeah. He's dying, and he's like, get out of here. He goes, you couldn't help with an itchy asshole or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, he's like, you're worthless. Get out of here.
I think at one point he's burning sage in front of
smudging it with sage. I was like, this is great, And when you look at the credits, that character is simply Ashtown Septon, I think, is his name, or it's Ashtown Meister or something like that. I might be confusing the Septon. You know what I was wondering about in Ashtown is that Septon, that young boy with the red hair. He reminds me of like Kyle Bravlovsky from like South Park or something. Like, is he supposed to be someone, because he's so young? And yet he seems like he has some sort of gravitas to him.
Which guy? Which character?
At the funeral at the end, and also the guy who the Septons are like the priests, and so he's like the local priest of Ashford or whatever. But he's like, a
lot of people were asking about the black woman with the pink hair, and no, that's not a Valerian. I guess she's in a lot of the Dunk and Egg books. She just dyes her hair a lot. And she is, it's not a race swap. She is, of color. But a lot of people thought that was like a Valerian, and it's not. It's just a person that dyes their hair in the books. But
I mean, that's the kind of cool thing about this. You see so many just the small folk and all kinds of, it's all the houses here for the tournament, plus all the local Ashford, slice of life, and then you got everyone coming through, and everyone the way they dress and stuff. Like one of my favorite costumes, like what's his name? One of the guys who dies, and like no one really notices or cares because he's in the melee.
Because they don't show it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, and the biggest letdown I've ever had in a while. But like but he's the beekeeper, like he's like Lord Bee or whatever, and
Yeah.
so he actually dyes his mustache orange, and his hair is kind of like black to go.
He's a Riesling. He's a Riesling.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, that's why he's all orange or whatever. Yeah, it's like I guess it's a family or house or something in Westeros, but they're Rieslings. Yeah, and I love that he gets buried in a fucking like beehive or whatever.
Dude, and is Raymond Fossaway the Green Apple?
Yes.
Dude, what a poor sap. He's not the brightest.
No, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Yeah. We'll get to that because that scene was bizarre for me. Like, I mean, it made me laugh, but it was bizarre. So
where should we start this? Do you want to start like with this final episode, or do you want to start at the first episode, or how do you want to go about it?
Well, I want to talk about this episode, and then we can kind of go as the whole season, kind of wrap it up, because this episode starts where Dunk is, I think, kind of being like, I don't know, he's being a little disrespectful, especially to Lionel, because he's down in the dumps, and I get it. He feels guilty about Baelor, but Lionel really sets him straight. He's like, fuck him, and actually, you know what? Fuck you. He's like, he didn't sacrifice anything. Like, he was going up against Kingsguard, who were not going to fuck with him. Yeah, it was like an accident what happened to him. It was his brother that hit him. But I'm the one, like, I came and I fought for you. Those 3 guys that died fought for you.
Exactly.
I really liked that, and I kind of knew that like Lionel Baratheon was going to be that kind of character. Like, he plays it off real fun loving, drinking, but he's also kind of the voice of reason in a way. And he clearly has zero love for Targaryens. Zero.
Apparently everyone hates them already. This world is a powder house. Like it's just waiting for someone to spark. And even at the end of this, everyone, like Baratheon here, Lionel Baratheon, he says to Dunk, hey, there's a war coming. You and I, we could be a force. And Maekar as well. He's like, okay, if it's going to be you that's going to train my son, okay, good, because like there's something going to go down. Everyone.
Dude, I loved that whole exchange because I completely see both their points. I mean, we're jumping ahead a little bit, but like Maekar and Dunk, you think about Dunk from episode 1 of this show, and now he's talking to Maekar. He's talking to a high, Targaryen who he's not the heir. A lot of people are like, oh, he's the heir. No, it's the guy that Dunk is talking to at the funeral, at the roast. That kid, that's the one who's technically the heir. But
fair enough, that's true. Yeah, the son of Baelor. Yeah, so he's gonna get offed somehow.
Yeah, but it was cool to see like Maekar saying like, look, you've got something in you. Like, I mean, you're scrappy as fuck. My son kicked your ass, but like you just kept coming back.
Yeah.
He didn't say any of that, but like,
it's like this dude should be dead.
Yeah. And he's like, my boy wants to only squire you. And I think you could be good. I think you could be a good knight here with us. And I get where he's coming from with that, because he thinks that's going to keep Egg sort of in line. He just needs a stern hand. But at the same time, you have Dunk knowing that if he does something like that and goes and works with the Master of Arms of the Targaryens, he's going to become something he doesn't want to be, because that's the opposite of what he thinks a knight should be, like going in and pillaging and burning down houses of families and stuff. He knows that that'll happen. So he declines, and it's great because they both have their reasons at the same time. But
yeah, I love how Lionel was like, dude, I hate going home. It's so boring. There's nothing to do. Like, bro, just come with me. We're going to feast. We'll make merry. We'll hunt. We'll falcon. Like, come on, like, let's just party, bro. And Dunk is kind of like, that's not my thing. He's got his ass whooped, and honestly, I would just take the retirement ticket after my first fight. I'd be like, here, I'm here to cash out. But I think that's what makes Dunk a compelling character. And you really feel it with all the small folk and even the noble women. Like
yeah.
You get the sense of their oppression just from the very little screen time they even get, dude. And that poor girl, the daughter of Lord Ashford, apparently the whole joust, I thought it was for her wedding, but I guess it's for her name day. Is that part of the wedding? I don't know, but it's,
it was, but I guess she doesn't
know?
even have a line of dialogue in the book. Apparently it's just like nobody really gave a fuck. Like she was like, oh, even though you ruined my birthday, I'm totally on your side. Like that was great. It was funny.
Yeah, but that was, I mean, talk about a forced, like, and I'm like, dude, that felt awkwardly forced. Where in the first place, where this little girl come from? Like, she just shows up from around the corner. Like, is she a ghost? I don't know. But then,
well, you see her a few times, close-up shots during the 7-on-7.
In the editing in that scene, there was no build-up to it. So they just like almost kind of like forced her in there.
No, then you're like, I have no idea who this person is, but she's clearly on Dunk's side. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But just underscoring the fact, because it's exactly what Lionel was saying, because you see the Dunk, he's got this reverence for the princes, and he's just this idealistic kid, groomed from flea bottom. He thinks that the lords and the princes especially are above the lords and stuff. And Lionel is like, dude, you actually literally had two lords, like a lord and a knight, die here for you, and all you care about is the prince,
Yeah.
Even this like poor girl who this is her name day and this tournament's for her, and like it's all upstaged, and even her getting a line, which I guess it's great that she didn't have a line in the book, because this felt like it was really bad writing, just like forcing her in there. But I was thinking that maybe they just figured it was awkward enough. The showrunners or whoever probably figured it was just awkward enough that we would laugh,
Maybe.
But it did underscore that people are, Dunk is getting wrapped up in this, like he's getting wrapped up in it, and like, oh, the princes are better than everyone else and they matter, and getting into their drama and stuff. Whereas before, I think he kind of may have had a bit of I mean, you almost think that he would reject it a little bit more. But I don't know.
I think at this point he's he's a completely changed man. Like his optimism is there, but he's so guilt-ridden right now that he doesn't feel the same. Like you don't see it on screen, the optimism. Like by the end you're like, okay, there's hope with what ends up happening or whatever. But I just want to acknowledge there is 14 people watching right now. Thank you.
Ding dong! Ding!
That's awesome. I appreciate it. Appreciate it very, very, very much. Yeah, you got to refill your drink. Go for it, brother. So this is the final. God, look at that lighting. It's very subtle. Almost looks like a sound stage, but there's no way it is. You can't really get that kind of lighting via sound stage. Well, I'm sure you can. I've never worked on a sound stage. But I have worked in location shooting. But yeah, this is incredible. I wish there was one more Lionel Baratheon scene, but I understand why there wasn't. This was a very short episode, just based on a couple of pages, so it makes sense. But God, I love his character, and I think Ashty said the exact same thing. Yeah, love Lionel so much. Yeah, he does. He's loaded with charisma, and from the very first time you see him, either in the end of episode 1 or episode 2, when he's drunk, you're like, okay, they're kind of presenting him as sort of a goofball. Maybe he's going to be a turncoat or a shithead, but he's not. He becomes one of his biggest advocates. And it's kind of a bummer the way he just kind of doesn't, he kind of cold shoulders Lionel at the end. But I understand why. He's, like I said, he's guilt driven. Because he was given 2 easy choices. He could go be a knight. Stormsend, that's what it was. Stormsend, yes. Thank you, Ashty. Or he could be a knight for Targaryens, and instead he chose to be a BF. Yeah, I'm glad he didn't
be a homeless bum, basically.
Yeah, well, and it's great when he's talking to Maekar. He's like, if you want him under me, he's gonna sleep in ditches and maybe sleep in feces. Like, he doesn't say that far, but yeah. Like, and he's like, my son would not do that. But
he lost Maekar at sleeping in inns and stables, and then like Maekar was like, No, he's a prince of the blood, yo. You're not taking him to inns and stables. It's like, and in ditches. He's like, that's a hard no.
This conversation is so good though, and it ends with Makar going up to him like head to head and just like, he's my
last
like
son.
my own. He's my last son. Yeah. Meaning like this is the last one that may turn out okay. Because I love they start this conversation by Makor saying like, yeah, Arion, we're taking him to the free cities to like learn some humility. So
yeah, because being out there will totally, make him better.
Well, it's definitely a punishment of some sort. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, out of these two, personally, I'm not as honorable as Dunk. I would go to Storm's End with Lionel Baratheon. I definitely would not do I would not do anything with a Targaryen.
1 bajillion%, dude. But
I will love you like a brother if you accept.
Yeah, and I'll hate you like a brother if you don't. Like literally pissing as he says it,
Yeah, I love it. His piss is like there's something wrong with his bladder. It's like spraying out at first, and then it
probably got stabbed in it or something.
Yeah, that's a good point. He does look the most unscathed out of all the people. Like he's probably a pretty good fighter,
I'm sure these the point is that especially these lords and princes, all they've done their whole life for education is just hunt and joust and just that's it. You know what I mean?
I want to say he said hunt orc, and I'm like, what? I don't think he said orc. He said
we'll go falcon, we'll hunt, we'll make merry.
Let's go hunt some orc.
Hunt some orc. You haven't tasted dark meat till you've had orc.
But yeah, so this conversation's fantastic. And then another one of the best scenes when he sort of reunites
just needs a hug
with Raymond.
With Frodo.
Yeah, dude. Well, he's Sam. Raymond is Sam, dude, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But he's just such a good friend, even though he's very dim-witted, because as this scene. But you know what? You find out the aftermath that he kind of kicked his cousin's ass in that fight. You get these little details of like, okay, so he's the one when Dunk was getting his ass handed to him by Arion. He's the one that came by on the horse and whacked Arion off of Dunk.
Would have been great to have seen that a little more clearly.
I know it would have been great to actually see all that stuff. Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna mutter to myself.
But yeah, he's such a good character and he's such a good friend. And then you see that his cousin is going to go
bad for him getting cuckolded like that. He's like the one decent guy, and then Dunk is like literally owes him his life and more, and he buys the horse back for Dunk, and Dunk is like,
he buys Sweetfoot back. It's adorable,
back, and Dunk is kind of like, well, he's more loyal to the girl. What's her name? He's more loyal to
which girl?
Rowan. Is her name Rowan? She's the one that cuckolds him. She's the.
You mean Rafe?
Rafe, is that her name? She's the woman of the night who is no
got
her mitts into a lord when she's pregnant. You know what I mean? And he's so dim-witted. He's like, well, one thing led to another last night, and now she says she's with child. And even Dunk the Lunk is like, that's not how. No,
it's clear that like Dunk knew like his face and when he
knew her, like they knew each other.
He was like, he was fake laughing. He knew. He totally knew.
I'm sorry. He's more loyal to her than his bro, who just like, if it wasn't for Fossaway, none of this would have happened. Who cares? Baelor would not have stepped in if there were two men down. You know what I'm saying? Baelor wasn't going to do that. But like, Fossaway is the one that he owes everything to, and he's going to like do over his buddy like this for this girl who was making fun of him the whole time. Where's your sense of noble loyalty there, my friend?
Going back to that conversation between Makar and Dunk, Ashty brought up a great line. Yeah. When he's like, my son will not live in ditches. And he's like, well, basically look at your other two shit sons. Like they didn't have to live in ditches. They got, first class.
They didn't turn out too well.
And look how they fucking turned out. Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah.
Well, so that's the thing that is supposed to make Aegon a good king, I thought, is that because of his adventures with Dunk, he interacts with the small folk in disguise, and he's low enough on the totem pole that no one's even really knows about him, and that's the whole point, is that he's able to,
I'm refilling. Take charge.
Oh yeah. That's the thing that I thought about. Aegon is that he was supposed to be a good, compassionate, king for the small folk, and try to do reforms for them and all this. But at the same time, his prophecy said, when that fortune teller was given his fortune, before the beginning, in I think episode 2 or something, and she tells him that you're going to die, and all who know you will rejoice, something like that. And I'm like, okay, is that because everyone who knows him is noble, and the nobles have a bad opinion of him? I thought he was supposed to be a good guy, like a good king. But really, hopefully, in the next couple of seasons, I'm assuming we're going to have 2 more seasons of this. I mean, I don't see why not. But in those stories, I'm wondering if they're gonna. I don't really know the timeline, how quickly they take place. But I'm wondering if we're gonna see older version of Egg, because as a child he's gonna age, he's gonna grow very quickly. So are they gonna swap out the actor for, I don't know, a 15-year-old at some point or something like that, or are they gonna stay with this? But I'm really looking forward to seeing just how he gets along with all the kinds of other people the adventures are going to go on. But yeah, I think that's a fair point, Ashley, like you and Ben were saying, where all those other 2 brothers, well, actually all 3 brothers, we haven't really seen the third brother. He got no screen time as far as I know, but they didn't really turn out all that well. And I think that's even probably the point, is that all of this high living is corrupting these people who, without their dragons now, they really have no basis for existing. Really, for being who they are. They're really no different. They're really no better than anyone else without their dragons. But yeah, it's been a pretty fun ride all along the way. I do have to admit that I was a little less than pleased with the whole melee. That episode 5, boy, that just left a bad taste in my mouth, and it kind of brings down the whole thing. Rowan. Yeah, there you go, Rowan. Yeah,
Rowan, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if you want to get into it now, but I still have some more things I was thinking about, this episode. But episode 5,
big time.
Melee, maybe we'll get into that a little bit more later, but
well, one thing we didn't bring up,
developing and his compassion for small folk through his adventures and stuff.
One thing we didn't bring up while talking about the Maycor Dunk talk was that Egg was listening. And he feels, I don't know about betrayed, but he's heartbroken. He's like, yeah, you're not the knight I thought you were, sir. It sucks, because I'm done with princes, it's sad. It's sad. But
well, he's almost a latchkey kid at this point. Like, really, in his world, he has no peer, he's at one level, he's above everyone is a servant, but on the other level he's low enough that he doesn't matter, he's sort of in this limbo. Like, this picture that you have of him is great. He's just sort of that unwanted kid
that's why he left. Yeah, dude. And he still wants to leave. And what he doesn't understand, though, is Maycor does love him and wants the best for him, which is why he's like, look, Dunk, you're kind of a shit knight. You can't fight, but you're tough as nails. And Egg seems to love you. So I want you to, have him as your squire. Again, though, that's kind of like being an independent film director and having Marvel ask you to do a movie. You're like, oh, I have all these ideas. They're like, fuck your ideas. This is what you're going to turn into. We're going to turn you into a factory puller, So Dunk knows if he goes and tries to pull this off with Egg, with the Targaryens, that if anything, it's just going to turn him into a dick. And that would also turn Aegon into a dick. It's basically saying, if you want your son to not turn out like your other sons, you got to let me take him on the road. That's basically what he's saying, And that's great, even though that's a lot to ask of a dad. Like, hey, I'm just going to take your son, I'm not creepy. I'm not creepy. I'm gonna take your son.
No, we just met a couple days ago.
We're gonna.
But
Go
I really think this living in the ditch is gonna do it well.
Your son's pillows for one night might be a whore's boobs. We don't know.
Well,
anything's possible.
The conversation that you brought up, when you really get to see Makar now in the aftermath of the melee, it does show deeper, a bit more depth to this character, whereas before the way that he was interacting with his son Aaron, how do you say his name? Daron? Yeah. No,
Daron,
not Daron.
yeah.
I'm sorry, not Daron. Arion. The way he's interacting.
Yeah.
Yeah. When Arion is like, oh, we'll do a trial by 7, and he's like, what do you just kill him now? Just take him outside and just kill him now and just get it over with, And he's just furious with his son, because his son is just like, and he's had it. And the other son, his heir, the drunk, isn't that his nickname? His moniker is Daron the Drunk, like something like that.
Is it?
I heard him referred to as the Drunk. I don't know if that's his official nickname, but they're like, Daron the Drunk, and so they've really been. He's not been a very happy father so far, and so then when he's actually in the melee, there's that moment where Arion is getting his ass whooped, and that's when Makar is just lashing out.
He's trying to get to his kid,
trying to get to his son, and you see him. He's like, my boy, and he's lunging. And
fucking up shit, dude. He throws Lionel Baratheon off his horse.
Lionel and who was the other guy? It took 2 guys to hold him back. It was like Lionel and someone else were holding him back. It might have been I don't recall. It might have been the B guy. But so you see in that moment where he's like
the Riesling,
the Riesling, He's like, in that moment, he's like, no, like my son, And then when he's all wounded, and he's just sitting there and he's nursing him. And his other little boy comes in with a knife to friggin' kill him, Targaryen style, like in his sick bed. Like that's how they do it in this family. And he's like this. All I know about this character Makar is that he is a ruthless warrior, and that he and his brother Baelor, like everything would have fallen during the last rebellion if it wasn't for them holding it down or whatever. And it was like their team that did it, So like as fierce as he is and as uncompromising as he is, he also has this intense family bond and loyalty and stuff. And when he sees that now his brother is dead by his hand, and he sees his youngest son has been so tortured by his second oldest son, who he knows this guy is a torturer,
He does, yeah.
And he's not like angry with Aegon. He just kind of just does the closest he can come to giving his kid a hug, and just like puts his hand on his shoulder and is like, I'm just going to be here. I'm not blaming you. I'm not, upset, but you can't kill your brother right now. And
Makar is stuck in this.
We saw from Egg. That's Egg's only catharsis, because this is a troubled, abused child who's neglected, and he has no one to connect with. And even his dad, and at that point, that's really the only time that Egg lets down his guard, and he just lets it out, And I think that's probably also when he just decides to run away, again.
Makar is stuck in this spot of being a Targaryen where he's like, he doesn't want to publicly oust a son for being too cruel or brutal or whatever, because he knows they're losing power. Like they're losing influence, maybe not power. They're losing influence, and they're losing people's goodwill, I guess, because later, obviously they would lose everything from them. But at this point in the story, just going back to that joust episode, where Arion just fucking cheats and goes after that horse's chest, all the common folk just attack him like, fuck you, man. This is bullshit. That's when you're like, oh shit. Targaryens do not have the power they used to have. You can tell.
And but you can see Baelor trying to navigate all that. You look on his face oh, dude, oh man.
But Makor's I don't want to publicly tell everybody that I'm going to take Arion somewhere to learn manners, because then that shows weakness, like at the same time, he's going to somebody like Dunk, who he knows is not going to lie or fake his way through something. He's going to be honorable in his words and his actions. And he's like, I want him to be your squire, because I want him to learn how you act. And that's where you're like, okay, Maekar, he's not super different from Baylor. Like, he does have a little bit of honor, but he can't do, like, Baylor just didn't give a fuck. Baylor is just like, fuck you. I like this kid's spirit and his honor. I'm the hand, I'm the heir to the throne. I'm just going to put it all on the line for this kid. Maekar is not going to do that, but at the same time, he secretly goes to Dunk, is like, I want him to be more like you than his fucking brothers, and
he needs a role model for his son. I think
that's what I mean. Yeah.
Even he himself is not the role model, for this kid.
I agree, Movie Malice. Boobs are great pillows. Yes, they are. But that's where Maekar is at. And I guess from what I've read online, the way the show ends, I know we're jumping a little bit, but it ends where Egg is basically like, well, we'll get there. I don't want to jump too far ahead, because we got to get to Dunk has this epiphany, sort of, when he's looking around. I think it's when the Riesling or whatever is getting buried in like a fucking beehive or whatever, and he just sees a bunch of shitheads.
Is that bee magic?
Yeah.
Yeah, they put the queen bee in the coffin and all the bees stay with it.
You know what else is really fucked up, though? A super small detail that's super fucked up is that when we first see right here in this scene, when we first go back to Raymond Fossilwaite, and right before the hug, or right after the hug, Dunk looks over at his tent and he's like, what happened? And it's because the cousin, the one that's now like a lord or whatever, took the big like family tent, because remember they had like their whole tent with their cider and
their whole pavilion, and
he just has this tiny like 2-person tent, and he's like, oh, so he took all that, and so I guess that guy's gonna go on
very magnanimous, but he's upbeat. He's like, yeah, after that beating I gave him,
that's the thing. He's Samwise Gamgee. No matter how much shit gets thrown at him, he still just kind of has a good heart about it, Yeah, he's fucking great.
He's great. The missing link in the Targaryen brothers here is Aemon Targaryen, who we know from Game of Thrones as the maester up in the at the wall, and he's like probably the oldest character in this, and all that we've heard so far about Night of the Seven Kingdoms, aside from a couple of references, is basically from I keep forgetting his name, Aemon. They're also similar, from Aemon, revealing who he is to Jon Snow and to Sam.
Are you talking about the old man from the Night's Watch?
Yeah,
I've read that he's like another brother. So he's
the third brother. He's the third brother that. Because remember earlier on when Raymond Fossilwaite is saying, well, the first one's a drunk, the second one is just vicious or cruel or whatever.
Yeah.
Third one's so worthless they shipped him off to the Citadel to become a maester. And the fourth one, and then that's when Egg walks in, which is a great little segue, and he of course doesn't recognize that Egg is the fourth one that he's talking about at that point. But the character that really ties this show with Game of Thrones is the Aemon Targaryen character, and he hasn't had any screen time here. I'm assuming that he wasn't in the book either, because he just wasn't present at this, but I'm just wondering if they'll kind of sneak him in somewhere, like a younger version of him. Maybe. Do you know if there's going to be a season 2 and 3 of Night of the Seven Kingdom? Or
I know there's a season 2 because it comes out in less than a year, dude, which is awesome.
That's great.
Season 3 is announced but not yet greenlit. But I'm assuming if it all goes well, there will be, because they did not spend a lot of money on this show at all, and it got really good numbers for HBO Max. So season 2 is already, I think, about to film or filming. And season 3 will probably happen as long as they don't shit the fucking bunk bed in season 2. But I'm so excited that there's going to be because I guess the second season is a book called The Sworn Sword, which I'm just about to get into. I know I want to wait for the show, but I have to read the book, dude. I have to. Like, I want to know where this goes from this point on, you know?
Well, I agree. There was a couple of things where like I have not read, you know, the books, but I kind of been doing my research on YouTube, so now I'm an expert and I'll tell you all about it.
You did your research on Wikipedia?
Oh yeah, exactly, absolutely.
Thronopedia.
Well, actually on YouTube, like I just look up like the little clips that people put together, you know?
Yeah.
But apparently, and I'm not sure if this is correct, but I believe in the books, Egg actually does get his father's permission. He does in the book. He does.
Yeah. You know? And I guess that ending that they shot, where he's like, "Where the fuck is Egg?" at the end, that was tacked on. But yeah. In the book, I guess he does let him go.
He gets
Makar to be even fucking cooler. You know, he wants him to be under Dunk no matter what. You know, but
you know, this I feel like with some of the, because they're trying to make this lighter and funnier, which I guess the books are, but HBO, you know, for TV is kind of like throwing in these little tropes of like, oh, the kid ran away again, and oh, you know, he's a good son, you know, whatever, all this stuff, and you know, just things like that, where I feel like maybe they kind of shoehorned in a little bit just as a TV show, just to like convey to us that, you know, like, you know, Dunk is shitting behind the tree through the theme, and they kind of do that a couple of times, you know, so it's like they're kind of putting in your face that they're making fun of this and having a, you know, lighthearted go at it and all that. But I feel like plot wise, dude, if I was Makar and my son ran away with this hedge knight twice, like after face to face, man to man, because as a prince, like you don't have to talk to this guy, you know. And in fact,
well, it was proven that he didn't run away with him the first time. It was happenstance, you know. It was, you know.
But was it proven to Makar? I mean, Baylor's the one.
Yeah, no, it was no. I mean, basically, I mean, Daemon did not officially say he lied, but I think they got the gist of it, you know.
But you know, but basically, this kid's run away with this guy twice. The second point, like the second time, face to face, telling the guy, "No, I'm sorry," his father, no, you know, it's not going to happen, dude. Yeah. In episode like the next season, like from this moment forward, there was a bounty on Dunk's head.
I think there's gonna.
Like, that is the only logical thing that.
No. I think Babak, I think they're going to take one or two lines and kind of wash over it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Because I don't think people liked that kind of post-ending scene where he didn't know where Egg was. So I think they're going to kind of course correct and just be like, he accepts it. I think.
Yeah, like maybe they catch up.
Because I don't think the second book has Makor or the Targaryens like trying to track down Dunk and Egg, so it wouldn't make sense. So,
but apparently, what they do is that Dunk, Egg, I mean, he has his sigil. He's got his ring that's got his family crest on there, and this is his signet ring. You know, this is his signature, and this is his proof of identity. This is his get out of jail free card, and that is a major plot line supposedly in the next book. Of will he, won't he reveal, you know, to get out of trouble or whatever. And but that is something that his dad was like, I will allow you to go with this hedge knight on the condition that you take your signet ring, and that, you know, if you ever are in trouble, you immediately pull this thing out, because the idea is that they have spies everywhere. And as soon as one of the spies learns that the kid has pulled out the ring, that is the help, you know, that's the call for help. And so the spies are going to tell the parents, and then they're going to send, you know, reinforcements or whatever. But that's like this whole thing that's built into it, and it's supposed to have been set up here at the end of the first book, at the end of the first season. And they just kind of didn't do that. So I'm like, well, are they going to shoehorn that in later? Or are they just going to be like, Egg just has his ring and he knows the spies are probably out there? Like, I don't know how they're going to paper over that. But
I was hoping that they were going to have that Steely Pate line from the book that everyone keeps talking about, where Dunk goes like, why are people waving to me and supporting me? And he's like, because they know you're a knight that remembered his vows. And like, I think a lot of people were like kind of bummed they didn't put that in because it was a big line in the book or whatever, but we get the gist. Like he remembers his vow. We don't need it to be shoveled up our butthole, but I did wish there was a little Steely Pate in this episode, but there wasn't, but I have okay, real quick. I got two things. I brought up this image because one of my favorite lines in this episode, and I thought it was funny, but maybe it wasn't supposed to be, is when Lionel Baratheon says, we'll talk to him after the roast. And I was like, roast? And then they go to, and it's Baelor being, Viking funeraled or whatever you call it. And like, so this is just another sign of how like the Baratheons think of like the Targaryens. He just calls it a roast instead of like a funeral or whatever,
well,
unless that's what they call it,
Yeah, but I wonder. That's true. I didn't take it that way originally, but that could totally be in character with Lionel Baratheon. But I just assumed that it was like literally they're just gonna have one more feast. But I think you're right. Now that you mention it,
he's calling the body being burned a roast, which is funny.
Hilarious. But hold on. The Targaryens, the whole thing is that they can't be burned by a regular fire. It's got to be a dragon fire that can burn
true.
them.
That's
How
true.
are you gonna they're just like ceremonially burning him, but he's not actually gonna get burned or something? Like,
well,
he's not have dragons to do this anymore. I mean, I don't get it.
Well, I've always been curious. I mean, always for the last 6 episodes, I've been curious about Baelor. Is he 100% Targaryen? Why does he not look like anybody else?
Well, no, because his father had a wife.
Because he's the hand, but
I think his father had a wife who was not a Targaryen.
Okay, so he's not full.
Only some of the Targaryens are incestuous like that. It's like
but how crazy was that scene where Egg is looking in the mirror and he touches his head and you see the white hair growing back and he's devastated. He's like, somebody get me a knife.
What a great! See that right there is classic Game of Thrones character development, editing, storytelling.
Yeah,
where you feel the angst in this kid. In the first place, foreshadowing, the knife is in the rotting fish. There's a fly on it.
Yeah. Oh, when they cut from him talking about eating rotting fish to that shot. Yeah. I love it. It looks like Lily is like 20 feet away. or not Lily, but Lee.
Yeah. Getting changed. But what's it called? But they do a great job there of the knife, and then he's looking in the mirror, and of course I love that those mirrors aren't that good, and so he's a little distorted.
It's a little distorted. Yeah.
And that's always a great like psychological insight, when you see the distorted reflection in the mirror, and then the character is going through angst.
Well, and I know this is a fantasy world, but if it let's say it takes place in the 14th century, that's probably how a mirror would look. You would look like a distorted clown,
Absolutely, yeah. You're just lucky it looks kind of like you can. Oh, I'm wearing
red.
They
still haven't figured out mirrors. I look amazing in some mirrors, and then awful in some, and then in the middle is probably how I really look. They still haven't figured mirrors out.
Yeah, mirrors are a thing. But then they go into, like you said, where the hair is going back. And his head, his head has always been just smooth, bare skin, right? And I'm always like,
that we've seen,
some stubble, show some stubble, But
it sounds like he had. It sounds like he had hair like Arion at first, yeah. But sorry, go ahead.
Well, absolutely, yeah. But it's so finally when they zoom in and you do see that stubble growing in. And I was like, and like you said, his reaction to it, he's like, no. And then you see the fish with no knife. And then it's like him just like walking into the room, like you don't need dialogue for that. Like, that this is the guy who killed his cat and tortured him as a child, like you can see what's going on. And it's just so well done. It's another one of those scenes that's just very, very little dialogue. And it's done so well.
I took that scene that Egg just wanted to put an end to this like side of the family, because you have Darian or whatever, who's not quite like he just wants out of this family. He's not going to do horrible things unless they force him to. He just wants to drink, you know.
Dude, you got to put that guy on suicide watch.
Yeah, or just let him commit suicide, you know, like whatever. But like Egg, I think Egg had a couple of things going on in his head. It's like one, yeah, the cat and the weird, you know, what do they call it? SA stuff that might have been going on. Like we have to say SA on YouTube. You can't say the actual word. And then the fact that he loved his uncle, and this whole situation got created. Nobody blames Dunk except Dunk. That's what's great about it. Like nobody
also Baylor's son.
Well, no, but I just mean like when this episode started, I had no idea what to expect. I thought everyone's gonna be like, "Boo! You got Baylor killed." And it's like it wasn't like that. It was all in his head. Everybody was fine with it. That guy made his own choice. And there's that great line from Lionel, who's like, you know what? He asked, he said, let's let the gods figure it out. And then Lionel says, gods don't favor frauds. And I don't know if I would call Baylor a fraud, but he was going into battle against people that wouldn't fight him, but yet he still got hit, you know? So
yeah,
it's complex in that way. In a simple show, that was kind of a complex thing, you know?
You know, and it does have that layer of complexity, which actually is redeeming. Because like if you're into Game of Thrones, you want that tangled web, you know, you want the intrigue and the backstory, and that's not what we're getting here.
But they gave it to you in the last
a little bit of it, you know.
Yeah, a little bit of it,
Give me something. But so Ash D, hold on. In the chat here, Ash D was saying that about the brothers that Darion becomes a three-eyed raven. Is that the oldest?
Oh yeah.
Is that Darren the drunk becomes a three-eyed
raven? I think I know where that is. Oh yeah, right here.
12. Yeah. Does that mean that the oldest brother, the heir to the throne, he doesn't die? He actually becomes a three-eyed raven?
See, I had no fucking idea, but that does make sense though, because he's the one with the dreams and shit like that, you know. So hopefully Ashty will answer.
Yeah. Ashty also said, "Oh, if it was the cousin, they got a cousin by the same name." Okay, but it's definitely that generation of Targaryens. It seems like I always thought the three-eyed raven was a much older creature. I didn't realize that they were like, you know.
See, I thought it was a newer thing because I think the only time it's mentioned in Hot D is Harrenhal, right? Like that's the only time with Daemon and his weird, you know, visions or whatever.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if the three-eyed raven was a thing at that point.
I don't think it was either, but he was just seeing kind of like visions or whatever.
Yeah, there's definitely people that have that witch.
I don't know if that was him or it was his cousin. And then she writes, definitely a family member of Targaryen from this line. Okay,
yeah. So it's all the Targaryen thing, man.
I have a question for Ashty because she schooled me so much on. I'm
gonna refill real quick.
On Game of when we did the Game of Thrones one, it was my first time watching Game of Thrones, but I'd already seen House of the Dragon, which doesn't help you out that much. But now watching A Night of the Seven Kingdoms and remembering that they mention Sir Duncan the Tall having 4 pages in the book, and then kind of reading that Brienne of Tarth is a descendant, which would make sense because she's, you know, big. Do we know if that's confirmed? Is that actually a descendant, or is he like an ancestor of hers? I don't know. I don't know where your knowledge of the books or whatever goes, but I know they don't specifically state that in Game of Thrones that she's a descendant of Sir Duncan the Tall, but maybe it makes sense. I guess we'll have to wait and see where the show goes. But if you know, I would love to know. If you don't know, that's fine. You know more than I do, so that's great. I agree with you. Bump Master One, yeah. The kid that plays Egg, Dexter Soul Ansel, perfect Colin Creevy. I don't know if that's how you spell Creevy in the Harry Potter. I completely agree 100%. Like the first second that he spoke, I was like, that sounds like Colin Creevy. I said the same exact thing. So well done, sir. Yeah. they would be a fool not to have the kid that plays Egg be Colin Creevey in Harry Potter, unless because Colin Creevey, I believe, doesn't show up till book 2. So they'd have to get him quick because he'll be a first year, I think, by the time book 2 comes out. But either way, great poll. I said the same thing to people. Yeah. Yes, that is canon because she, Babak, I asked Ash D if Brianna Tarth was a descendant of Sir Duncan the Tall because I've heard rumors about that. Yes, it's canon because she also mentioned that she was younger looking at a shield that was on display. Oh, with an elm tree and a star. Okay, that's why. Okay,
was that when all the boys were making like pretending to like her at her dance and all that? But Brienne, it makes sense that she's so tall, especially if she's.
Well, that was why I think people were. I think like George R.R. Martin has all but confirmed it, but it hasn't technically been written in one of the books. But yeah, when Ashley just mentioned the elm tree and the star, it's like okay, that makes sense. And yes, I do believe she's a true descendant of Dunk. That is so cool. That just makes it so much cooler for me watching this show because she was one of my top 3 favorite characters in Game of Thrones.
Oh, so, such a badass.
Yeah.
And she has that Dunk sense of nobility of like
just way smarter.
Yeah. But you know,
she could take a hit though, like nobody's when she fights
Bear.
Yeah,
Bear
dude.
And the Maiden.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Well, doesn't she fight? What's his name?
She's the one who takes out the Hound.
That's what she fights. Yeah. She fucking beats the Hound on that bridge down, dude.
Yeah. She should have finished him off, but like she wouldn't.
Well, that's what turns him into a big puss, and he's like, now I want to be a monk or whatever the fuck.
Story arc. Everyone's gonna. But you know, Dunk as a commoner and as a not even like even among the commoners, like they're looking down on him, dude. He is from the ghetto, you know. He is friggin' ghetto rat, and he's an outsider, and he idealizes the nobility and the you know the princes and royalty and you know he's trying to be what he imagines they are because he buys into this chivalry, you know.
Well, he's built up Arlen of Pennytree like a lot. 99% of the people don't know who the fuck he's talking about, but the way he idolizes him, they're like, "Oh shit, we should know this knight. This knight sounds amazing." But he's just a drunken dude with a big dick. Pretty much. And
Brienne as a
ding dong,
you know, Brienne as a woman, she is also the outsider to this knighthood. You know, she is nobility, but she's always, you know, she's just so big and strong. She's not like, you know, this woman that's going to be a wife and mother and all this. And, you know, so she's really looked down on and really belittled and all that. And so she also is trying to be more noble and chivalrous just to prove that she is part of this, you know, knighthood and all this. And, you know, and I love that the episode that you and I went back and rewatched from the original Game of Thrones towards the end, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, was the episode where Brienne is also knighted. And they use that line, any knight can make a knight, you know, and which is a reoccurring line here. And we haven't even got to the whole part of, so Dunk's not a knight, you know, like, because they've pretty much at this point shown that.
Well, I don't know. Hear me out real quick because I know where you're going with this.
Yeah.
That flashback scene where Arlen, he's like, why haven't you knighted me yet, sir? And Arlen tells a story, and then you think he dies. It was just hilarious when he wakes up because they let that scene breathe, and like he starts crying.
Dude, I rewound it. So
that tells me right there
that that's where he dies, and then it was like, no, he's just like,
yeah. So that tells me right there that is not the end of their story. So he could have knighted him after that scene. You know,
he could have knighted him at that scene. They do leave that open, but
you're not supposed to know, and I'm fine with that. Like you don't need to.
No, I don't need the closure. I'm just, you know, they kind of pretty much said because that's the only plausible reason for Dunk to be hesitant when he's trying to when Fossaway is like, knight me and I will fight for you.
Yeah, and he doesn't know how to knight him.
I think he knows, what to do, but he says, no, I shouldn't.
I thought he just didn't know what he was supposed to say, but you don't know,
Yeah. But it's one of those things where it is ambiguous, but they leave, the part that says that he's not a knight is at that point he says, no, I shouldn't. And then he's called away conveniently, because the tournament, the melee is going to begin. The trial of seven is going to begin. And instead, Lionel Baratheon, a true knight, knights him. And they've been hinting about this the whole time, all the way through. It's about him proving that he is a knight, and he just like really can't find anyone to back him up. And this is the making of two knights, not just Raymond Fossaway, but Dunk himself is now becoming validated, whether or not he was knighted by his, by his knight, or his sir, whatever. The fact that he is now participating in this trial of seven as a knight against other knights, this is in effect what's de facto making him a knight.
Yeah. Whether it's against protocol or not, he deserves to be a knight because he honored an innocent woman by protecting her, and then figured out a way to get 7-on-7 because people just liked him. He's a likable guy, and not only that, but he took a motherfucking beating. Like that very first scene where a lance goes right into his fucking gut, dude. You're like, holy shit.
That's how it should have ended. He should have just bled out right there. That would have been
but that's the point of his character, is like
exactly
a medieval Rocky,
Yeah, he is.
Ashley's he kind of knighted himself. Yeah. You know what? Movie Malice, correct. This shot is actually, I don't remember it I watched the episode 3 times. This is a trailer episode or a trailer scene. I think you get a brief shot of the broken shield next to him while he's sitting by a tree, but I don't recall this scene. But yeah, it shows how his spirit was almost broken. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Because that shield gets hit the first
thing to go.
First second of that fight. And in the first second of that fight, 2 of those motherfuckers die. Chainmail Face and
off camera and beeswax.
Yeah, and beeswax. Yeah, exactly.
Say his name.
Yeah. I don't know. This final episode worked for me. It was a nice little closure. I knew there was not going to be anything significant as far as like,
no, just wrap it up. They only got
just wrapped it up really well. It almost made episode 5 a little better because you get a little bit more idea of what happened. Not too much, but a little bit. I like this episode a lot. I agree with Babak. We can rank our episodes. I think we're both in agreement that episode 4 was a masterpiece, man.
Oh, yeah. 4, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I just want to say one thing just before we move on, bro. You know what you really got to do is you got to do just like a cinema gulp, like edit and whatever of Sir Arlen as the world's most interesting man. When he was like, a knight always finishes a story. Stay frosty, my friends.
So apparently the whole episode of in season 5 or in episode 5 during the flashback, when we just thought, what is he saying? I guess he was singing Dothraki. I had to look that up to find out that that's what he was singing. So apparently he fought with them at one point.
That guy's been everywhere and done everything. And he's got that bushy hair and beard, and he's just all grizzled and yet still presentable somehow, and he's got that charm even though he's dying in a ditch. Dude, didn't he just sleep on his knife? And
he fell asleep on his knife and
at his age, at how many times has this guy been stabbed? How does he not know how to clean and dress a wound, especially when there's no one trying to kill you?
Because he's drunk. He's just walking around drunk.
He would have fixed all of the other ones on himself. The guy is walking scars. He's like Logan, like Wolverine, dude. He's just one massive scar. He would know how to deal with a wound. And I don't know, man. I just feel like there was just so many plot holes. left and right, like with all this stuff. I'm just like, this is not plausible. I'm not buying it. And
Ah.
it's at some point you got to be like, okay, just believe that these are fallible individuals, that they're all going to make, the thing about, the hero is that they have a self-inflicted wound, where like no one else can take them down. They're taken down by themselves somehow, the tragic flaw, but I'm like,
Right,
everybody, like everyone is a complete dumbass in ways that don't make sense for them to be a dumbass. Like, I don't know.
You're not going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe?
Well, I'm not going to fall for a banana on the tailpipe.
So do you think that Dunk made the right decision? Obviously in his eyes and in Egg's eyes, he did. And I guess in the book, so did Makor, but like, did he make the right decision? Because he could have had his riches and his super crazy training as a Targaryen, but that would be stupid because he would lose himself completely in that. But do you think he should have gone off with Lionel Baratheon?
I think I should have gone off with Lionel Baratheon.
Dude, I would have partied with him forever, man.
Party, dude. That guy bros down. But I think that Dunk, in the conversation he had with Makar, and he's like, you were gonna take my leg, my arm, and I had to ask myself, is my leg worth the life of a prince? And then Makar's like, so is it? Like, what did your tree tell you? And he's like, what if one day the realm would need me to have this leg, and one day the realm would need me to have this arm? And
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, this is the origin story for King Aegon V of his name, but also for, Sir Dunk the Tall, who we know at the end of his life is wealthy and famous and powerful. And he gets all of that, like he doesn't need it handed to him. He's going to go out and swashbuckle his way, through his adventuring and stuff into that position. And yeah, it's for him, if you're speaking about like one of these Targaryens or one of these witches or the three, who can see the whole timeline, and they know, like something that today might seem like a curse actually is what is required to get us to this, good future or whatever. Like, from that perspective, someone like that would say, absolutely, without Dunk and Egg going on their adventures, without King Aegon, getting the common touch, without Dunk, proving himself and building himself up, then they won't become the people, because it's really these two that are going to be, I think, some of the last steady hands on the state ship.
Well, I think, as Ash G mentioned, like the Brienne of Tarth thing makes so much sense because she's so fucking honorable. Not only is she a badass and very tall and big, but she's one of those. And again, a little hint there, she was never knighted, and it took Jaime to knight her towards the very end of the entire series to knight her. And she was just like flabbergasted by it. Like, you finally see these emotions from her that you'd never really seen before.
Where she always has this like steel up, and then Jamie's
except when it comes to Jaime, because she wanted that dick forever, dude. And she got it. She got it.
But she felt in that knighting scene in the episode of Night of Seven Kings at the end of Game of Thrones, she was like, oh, it's just the guys making fun again. The guys are just mocking me again. And Jaime is like there with the sword in his hand, and he's like, kneel. And she's like, gives him this like wounded look, like, really? And he's like, do you want this or not? And it's like, that's all she's ever wanted.
Yeah, I know. And I think, George R.R. Martin never has to actually come out and say it. We know it's definitely the same lineage. It's perfectly, I mean, it's written as the same, like that is a perfect descendant of somebody like Duncan, like, I don't know what's going to happen with Duncan through the Sworn Sword, or I think it's called like the third book's called like the Mystery Knight or something, like, and I guess, George R.R. Martin says he's actually going to put out the fourth one because he's never going to finish the other thing. So he might as well just keep doing these.
Yeah, these are much shorter, a lot easier to, get through, wrap up and stuff. I kind of, I'm not sure if this is true, but
Are you mad? Is that relevant? Yeah.
Yeah, is that
Dude,
relevant?
this show had great dialogue. Great
Good
dialogue.
dialogue, yeah. They just the writing is good, and I just wish that they hadn't just fallen down on episode 5. They really ruined it, dude. Like I went back and I rewatched.
I told you to rewatch it because I rewatched it and I liked it a little more. But
Well, what I
I
did
don't
when I
think you did.
rewatched it was I watched the opening 4 minutes of like build up and
Yeah.
the initial charge, skipped over literally 19 out of like 34 minutes is the backstory. 19
Yeah, I still don't like
backstory,
the
dude.
flashback that much. Yeah.
I liked it individually and I would watch it separately, but I couldn't stand to watch it. I just watched that, skipped over the whole thing, and went straight to the end where all you need is Sir Arlen saying, "Get up," and just restarted it right there. And even still, it wasn't satisfying. I had to rewatch it like twice to be able to like even make out what was going on. And I was like,
out of that
maybe
15
that's
minutes, you should have cut. You could have cut about 8-9 minutes out of that 15 minutes and got the same exact effect.
And honestly, for that effect was great. It detracted from the whole buildup of the whole first season. The whole book, the whole story is about this melee. And I would like to go back and read the actual melee in the book to see if in the book the melee is only described as to what happens to Dunk and his perspective, because that's all you see here. And like, okay, great, whatever, but like everything that we've ever seen in HBO has been a better fight than this. Like hands down, this could have actually been a really cool fight. Even though if it's 7-on-7, that's fine. It's manageable. You can show the duels, the battles, the one-on-one, give everyone their screen time. Like they could easily have filled that out. I don't think that there was anything holding them back except just an executive decision somewhere to say like, no, we're just not going to do that. We're just going to show Dunk just his perspective, just what's happening on him, just tight, close camera only on him. And it really failed. Like I was expecting so much because HBO, they've done so many different iterations of the fight scene. They've done like the pitched battle where you've got like swords and shields up front and the cavalry charge to the side. They've done friggin' dragons versus archers. They've done all this stuff, and the great thing about HBO is that they really, like earlier on at the Battle of the Wall, that episode that, Ben, you were showing me where the wildlings haven't yet united with the Night's Watch, and they're scaling over the wall and doing a sneak attack around back on that little the elevator tower or whatever. And at the same time, Mance Razor or whatever his name is like, sending a probing attack with the woolly mammoth, the giants up the front and all that. Like that battle was not the biggest battle. It was just a skirmish, it was a little melee, but they did one of those massive one-shot takes where like the camera pans across the whole field and every actor has to hit their mark in time. It's also well choreographed and executed. If one person missed their mark, they'd have to go back to one and redo the whole thing. And it's hard to when you got pyrotechnics and you're destroying parts of the set and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And like HBO was capable of that years ago. And then they went beyond that with by the time you get to like Battle of the Bastards with Jon Snow, where you do have the camera have a tight focus on the main character through the melee, but it wasn't so zoomed in where you literally see them. It was panned out a little bit so you can see the action. They're only like this center third of the screen maybe, and you can still see the fighting going on around them. They're reacting to multiple skirmishes and stuff, and you've got like the dragons coming in and burning things and just barely I'm sorry, there was no dragons in that part, but later on when they did the same thing at the wagon train, my favorite episode, where Bran the Braun or whatever Braun, I mean, he dude, the camera's following him around, you got the dragon fire and all this stuff, and like HBO can deliver, and it's like, bro, it's just a 7-on-7 match. Like you could knock this, it's a slow ball, like knock this thing out of the park, like do something with it. And I was just like, oh, come on.
I told you, I think it was right before or right after we did our stream together. Watchers of the Wall is one of my favorite GOT episodes.
I was just talking about when you're off camera. That's where they have the whole
from season 4. It's not talked about enough on how like immersive and visceral and vivid it is. Like you were talking about the one shot take, like that episode like does not get enough buzz because it's so fucking cool, man.
It's so good, and like that was
you have the fucking trolls shooting their arrows that just like blow you like 200 feet in the air when they hit you, like dude,
woolly mammoths and all that.
Dude, that episode is fucking legit, dude, and they kind of just just like battle the bastards, fuck off, like that episode's fine, but
when they had the giant versus 5 dudes in the tunnel fight to the death, it was all off camera, but they pulled it off because the whole like 40 minutes is like just action. And, in that sense, okay, some of the stuff is much more dramatic just to have it off camera, but you're getting enough that you're like satisfied. And I was just building up this melee over and over again to everybody trying to sell this show, and it's really underdelivered. And it's the whole focal point of this entire series, this whole book, this whole season, I mean. And I'm just like, bro, don't build it up if you're not gonna deliver. Like, if it's not gonna be a big thing, don't make it out to be a big thing.
They aside from GOT, they've done that a couple of times. Like they did that with House of the Dragon. Obviously they filmed these 2 fucking episodes that they didn't show that we're gonna see in June, but
but House of the Dragon did deliver visually and with like the drama and the score.
It had more than twice as much money though, Babak.
I believe it, absolutely.
No, the budget for Night of the Seven Kingdoms was very small, which is why they kept the shots really tight.
Yeah, real tight. They're just gonna fill.
But I do think you could have shown some more of that battle. And just,
I mean, they got the dudes in the armor on the set. They already built it. All it is just like have the stuntmen do the work in front of the camera. They were obviously having the stuntmen do the work off camera. Like you see stuff kind of in the background. Like just put the camera on that every now and then.
I agree. Yeah.
Anyway, I having said that, I've still rewatched Night of the Seven Kingdoms more than almost anything that I've seen ever. So.
It's fun. It's fun. Very fun. It doesn't like leave a sour taste in your mouth like Hot D does, but it's not as complex and crazy to watch as something like Game of Thrones. It's just very simple, but you want to know where it goes. Like
with Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, you really have to like know the backstory. You have to rewatch it. You got to really read into you got to do your research and like read into every little thing. It's fun to do that. Like if you do that, there's a lot there for you. There's a lot of Easter eggs. But
agreed.
The Seven Kingdom, it's just popcorn. You just take it. It's a lot more of like an Arthurian, like Night of the Round Table. Where it's just like Sir Gawain or against the Green Knight or. Galahad or they're just off on their adventures and stuff, and that's kind of classic knight tales, and it is kind of a good throwback to that. I mean, I like it for what it is, but man, if you're gonna promise me a melee, give me a melee. 19 out of 30 minutes of friggin' backstory, like which detracted from the backstory. That backstory that they put in the middle of that melee was a really good backstory. That was on its own could have been like an episode, just take it, put it on its own thing, have it, that would have been great. But
I agree.
I really feel like the showrunners or the producers, they just botched it. Like I
don't know if they botched it. I think they just, this was the way they wanted to tell the story, I guess, where it's just everything. Cause I know you had originally said like the show feels more like an egg origin. I feel it's more a Dunk origin, but agree to disagree. What's that?
Yeah, no, this is about Dunk becoming a knight, and this is absolutely his backstory, and it is about him. Like you don't really get. I think he's like in every scene. Isn't Dunk like in literally like in every shot or something? Like they don't take the camera off this guy.
The only time
I think
the only time he's not in a scene is when it's maybe egg, but you're right. Dunk is in pretty much every frame of the entire series.
Yeah, which is very unusual. And again, this is his story, and this is what they promised and delivered. It's just about this guy.
And he's great. He's lovable. He's
out.
lovable. He's somebody in the Westeros like universe that you're like, man, I want to see if this guy can pull something off, because he's a little dim, but he's honorable. He's not that dumb. He's not gonna like marry a whore that's already pregnant like Raymond. Yeah, dude, I don't know.
And Dunk, bro, where's your sense of honor? Let your boy know.
Yes, Walkers of the Wall is one of the best battles ever. Thank you. Good night.
Rotten B. Now I am looking forward to the next couple stories. Now that I know that really they're not fighting stories. This is a time of peace. It's not really about the action. It is about the dialogue and the character, development and all that. Like, now that I kind of know that, I'm going to have my expectations tempered, because so far as I know, the next book, it's really just a lot of negotiations and talking back and forth and learning, oh, so-and-so lied to me and blah, blah, blah. And, the bad girl turns out to be the good girl, but they got away and all this. And
that's what I've heard.
Yeah. Like, when there was supposed to, like, it actually comes out to a fight again, there is no real fight. It's like they kind of, it's all held back, and so now that I know that, I just can't really expect any action from this Tale of a Night.
I don't think there's a lot of action in the second book. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So
I'm fine with that.
Now that I know, cool. Okay, he happens to be a knight who's more of a diplomat, who's just like getting into like negotiations over like a dam. Like, I think the next story is supposed to be all based on like one lord, she dams a river, and then the other guy's complaining about it, and he's actually not that nice, and Dunk's supposed to be on his side, but then he's kind of making a peacemaker between them, and
I've heard this book is really good though, so even though that sounds kind of boring, I can't wait to read it. Or
I'm sure the execution.
I'm going to listen to it. I don't know about you. I'm going to do the audiobook. I don't have time to read.
And I just watched.
I ain't got time to read.
Ain't got time to read.
Ain't got time to bleed.
Yeah. But, these are stories where the characters, it's really more about the character reveal, where like you think someone, like with Egg, they present as something, yet you find out their backstory, and they are actually far different from who they really are. The third book too, it was the Mystery Night or something like that. One of the other characters presents as a hedge knight, and yet turns out to be someone special. So it's really kind of just about the dialogue and the plot, the character development, and there is a story there and stuff, simpler stories and everything. And I think that it's definitely digestible. But man, I am looking forward to the House of the Dragon. Is that supposed to drop this summer?
June 1st.
June 1st, dude. Come on, bring it on.
Dude, Babak, we only have a couple of months to rest before you're going to be here, and we're watching all of season 2 all over again. So,
oh, I'm down, dude. I'm
Rest up.
Absolutely. Absolutely, dude. Well, I mean, after watching the last, episode of Night of the Nine Kingdoms, which I thought that
Nine Kingdoms, yeah.
That was great.
What were the two that were left out? The North. Well, it's because they talk about the Seven Kingdoms. They're talking about the North, and there's another one that's left out, right?
Well, yeah, it's like if you actually count all the kingdoms, I think at this point they were all united under one, because the mother of Baelor is Dornish. They're basically the Spaniards. They're the ones like the Martells, Elia Martell, say her name.
Oh, the Martells.
Yeah. So that's where Baelor gets his dark hair from, and from his mother. But apparently, I think they all have the same mom. I don't know. Maybe they have different moms. Who knows? But he definitely looks different from his brother and everyone else in the Targaryen family. But he's part Dornish, so I think at this point the Dorns, they're in the fold. It was a great little scene where Egg is like just numbering them all off. After Dunk is like, "I'll box your teeth in" or whatever. Me again, boy. Everyone knows the Seven Kingdoms, but apparently there's 9. That was great. but I think that they are going to head off down, to Dorne or something like that at some point, and just kind of see more of the wider world. I love how the end of this Egg was like, I've never been beyond the Red Mountains. Like, hey, let's get out of town here.
So when he says that, is he talking about Eastros?
I'm not sure where the Red Mountains are.
See,
I don't know.
when he said that, I was like, is he talking about going to like because you know how like Game of Thrones has like your British side and then like your Middle Eastern side almost, I was wondering if that's what he's talking about. I'm like, well, I don't think you can just ride there by horse, but
yeah, I'm not sure where these locations
but I don't think these adventures take them to either one of those, but yeah. Well, Eastros is a place that you don't see much of outside of the first season of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, the Dothraki, and then where Daenerys, sorry, she's like trying to go through all the free cities and get them to be on her side, the Slavers Bay and all that. Like that's over there on Eastros, but I do have to say that the very last, the end
later, dude. Thank you for being here so much. Love you. Thank you.
Cheers, Bob Master.
Dude, best turnout we've ever had for this show that we're doing. Amazing. I love you guys. I love everybody. There's still 8. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. Anyway, keep going, Bob.
The last scene was the first image of this where it's that perfect tree with the rolling green hills and the clouds, the sky, and then the final scene as well, where it's Dunk and Egg, and they're making their way through the fields, and you've got Sir Arlen, parallel to them, and then he makes a hard left and wanders off in his direction.
Oh my God, that was such great symbolism, man! So it was just, it was saying goodbye to, now he is the guy. He can't rely on that memory anymore,
Yeah, he's got to.
I saw this great YouTube video. I think it was from Heavy Spoilers, who are awesome. And there's a scene in Fast and Furious 7 or whatever, after like Paul Walker died, and the cars veer off and it plays that song. And they did this edit where when he veers off, it plays that song. I can't bring it up because I'll get copywritten, but
I'll tell you on that.
It's really funny. But that scene was so cool because Dunk isn't even looking back. I think he looks once, but it's for us. It's not for him. It's for us.
Yeah. It was so great, and I love that they didn't actually do this thing where he's talking to the spirit,
no
flashbacks, but because there's so much more of an Irish, like everything's always been very English and Welsh in this world, and now that they're the actor who plays Dunk is Irish, there's a lot more of the Irish accent. Earlier on there was more of like the fiddles and something like that. And with this, it reminded me of wait, hold on. Is Old Lang Syne Scottish or is it Irish?
Which character?
No, the New Year's song. Should all acquaintance be forgotten?
That's not Irish. That's not Irish. No.
Is that Scottish?
I don't know, but it's not Irish.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? Now that I'm saying it, I think it's Scottish, but still, whatever. It just reminded me of that, where it's this imagery of the green rolling fields, and in the New Year song, Old Lang Syne, it's a story of two friends who used to wander across the fields and the meadows and pick the daisies fine, and one of them went in another direction across the waves to America presumably, and the other one went this other way. And, yet whenever they're at a pub and they meet a stranger, they kind of see a bit of their long lost friend in the other person, and they'll lift a glass of, draught to this. But I really felt like this was this like Old Lang Syne moment of we two have, frolicked across the fields, but now we've parted our ways, and, we're never going to see each other again, and it just like really felt like an embodiment of that, of just that moment, that feeling of just being open to friendship with anybody because they remind you of someone you'd lost. And it just was really well done right there with, Dunk and Egg going off in one direction and then Sir Arlen going the other way. And that was kind of Dunk's release, like you said, he now has to become the knight that he thought that Arlen was, because Arlen wasn't. You know?
Babak, that is so well said, because you're like, I just let you roll on that, and I was like, "Where's he going?" And you just cooked. I was like, "Holy shit!" And you're so right. By the end of that, it's like it really is that release of. But at the same time, I used to be in the military, and like, if occasionally you lose somebody, or whatever, you do a shot, you light the shot, you drink the shot, it's very barbaric, but at the same time, it means something at the time,
Yeah.
And I love that no matter what's going on with Dunk, because I don't think he's super dim. I think he's got a good brain.
He's not.
He's uneducated, but he understands.
Yeah,
like
he's not an idiot.
No, he understands Sir Arlen's plight at the time or whatever. But anyway, I just thought you said that very well. It makes perfect sense. If I try to elaborate, I'm just gonna fuck up what you said.
Well, they really did build up to that, where like he's talking about, the penny tree. The boys would nail the penny to the old oak.
Well, and I love when he hammers the penny into the tree, dude. That's so good. That's so good.
It is so good. And it's just one of those things where only Dunk knows of that. It only means only he would recognize it. No one else would see that, but that's his personal tribute. That's him in letting go, because you have to understand that he just lost his sir a couple days ago. Like the whole thing, like for us, it took weeks to watch, but for him, it's 3-4 days. I don't know, something like that.
It's 6 days to watch. So it was like 6. Well, I mean, 6 episodes are like 6
like
days.
I think you said basically every episode there's a sunrise and a sunset.
Yeah, I don't exactly know.
Not necessarily exactly.
I think the first episode might have like put him on a slight detour where it was a couple more days, but yeah, you're right. It's still like less than 2 weeks fresh. Or whatever.
It's very fresh, and this is part of his grieving process, Dunk's grieving process. Of him kind of coming to terms with, this person who he's just lost, who meant so much to him. How's he ever going to honor his legacy and step up and become the person, the man that, his sir wanted him to be in his mind, in Dunk's mind. And, he's really going through the grieving process of this, because it starts with him. He's just lost this guy. He just buried him. And it was expected, but that moment of death, it could have happened at any time. It could have happened anywhere. And that's exactly where we pick up with him. And then when we leave him, it's where, we start Dunk's story with him burying Sir Arlen. And then at the end of it, we see Arlen at that same tree, presumably, in the process of dying, and Dunk just kind of processing that and letting it go, He's not articulate, he's got street smarts. Yeah.
Dude, the show never fails to give levity, which is what I appreciate the most about this show. It's like when you think that he's having his last conversation with Arlen, and then he's like, and then he jumps back. And I love the line where he's like, a knight will not
always
end their tale. Yeah, always finishes their tale. Yeah, it's great. It's great. I love that character so much. And I guess we get a lot more of him in the show than he's really described in the book. I don't know if the giant, dick is in the book or not, but it's definitely in the show.
I think that's HBO just being HBO. They're just like,
they're like, well, we're not allowed to show tits anymore. So
yeah, exactly. only old dudes do the full frontals. So bring out the mirth.
Well, I'm going to bring down the poll that's been up, and then Babak, we can finish by talking about the season as a whole. So the poll I put up at the beginning was, what'd you think of the season? Excellent, good, meh, or terrible? And it got 100% excellent out of 11 votes. So clearly people like the show, as do we. So well done. Yeah, well done. I agree. It's excellent. I wasn't allowed to vote because I put up the poll, but I would have definitely said excellent. But so yeah, as a whole, I'll go first, Babak, because for me, it's not going to take very long. This is my third Game of Thrones show. I started out with Hot D. I went on to GOT, and now I'm not going to do the acronym because it's too long. Night of the Seven Kingdoms. This show was needed in this franchise. It was definitely needed to be something different, and something more lighthearted and funny and fun, and let us know that there's people in this world that are good. So I love it for that. I want more. I want bigger stakes. I don't know or care if we're going to get those, but I just love this character and I can't wait to see where he goes. Egg is the one I'm really looking at. Like Egg, I want to know what's going on with Egg. Egg's the one I'm really looking at. Yeah, I loved these 6 episodes. I mean, episode 5 was a letdown by execution, but it didn't ruin the show for me. So, hey,
yeah, it didn't ruin the whole thing, but it definitely was a letdown. I feel like, whoa, big girl. I feel like if they just go back and really knock that one out of the park, this would have been just a spectacular season. I mean, I definitely got into it. I'm very happy to have the content. I feel like there was so much more to offer, in pretty much every other episode. The pacing of that one wasn't all that good. But starting out with the season 1, episode 1, the Hedge Knight. I feel like we got a great little intro to our main characters, basically 3 main characters, Arlen, Dunk and Egg. And, moving on into the tournament, I think the scenes that stood out to me the most would have been, for example, where Dunk and Egg were cooking up that breakfast of goose egg and,
the goose egg and the bacon sandwich. Oh,
like those moments where there's so many great little adventures, or like when Dunk is just like broing down and partying with the Baratheons in the tent, and
he's wearing. I love it when Dunk is wearing the antlers, the Baratheon
antlers. And they're doing this whole Eastern European, Slavic type of dance where they squat down and kick, and they're stomping on each other's feet, and I felt like we were in Transylvania or something, like in the Carpathians in the old days. But it was just so great to be in this world. And, just really the build up, seeing the family dynamics within the Targaryens. I mean, the way that where Dunk first is walking in to report that he can't find anyone to the guy that's running the tournament, he can't find anyone to vouch for him that he actually is a knight. And everyone's like, I'm sorry, who is this? And you really get the great character development where Baelor is like, we are the intruders here, brother. Like, there's other stuff going on that we don't know about, and it's okay. He's not a spy, You don't have to be sorry for anything. But getting in through all these memorable scenes, that play where the dragon is breathing.
Oh my God.
The blood's coming out.
The puppet show.
Yeah. What amazing. I mean, that puppet show was better than the friggin' melee, it was so incredible to see all the artistry and stuff, and just
I hope we get more Tenzel Too Tall. Because she's the one that Dunk looked at and saw her as, somebody kind of perfect for him. She's tall as well, but Tenzel was great. And we don't get anything with her past season or episode 3.
Yeah. And I think that that's it. Pretty much everyone in the story is all the side characters in the story. They're all just for the story. The other 2 books really have nothing to do with anything going on here. I don't even know how far in the future they're going to be set or anything like that.
I'm pretty sure that the Sworn Sword takes place not very long after this one, because a lot of the stuff that happens in this one has a lot of repercussions and shit, stuff like that. So I think I sent you a link to the audio book or whatever. Yeah. I started listening to it and I was like, oh, okay. It's got Dunk and Egg sitting right next to each other on horseback. I'm like, yes. But I haven't listened to it yet because I wanted to finish this season. But it was so great to see Sweetfoot getting an apple, and he's gonna live a good life. The Fossa waits, right, Lily? Lily, does Lily like horses? You like horses, darling?
She likes horses. Do you like horses?
I'm guessing you don't like what's going on right now.
She just wants me to brush her teeth.
I can't put that on the horses. That's why
Love this show. Love you guys. Can't wait for Hot D3, baby. Yeah, bring that. Bring it.
That's right. Lily's so cute. She says she can't ride horses. She's too small. She can only ride ponies.
Oh, ponies. I love ponies. Who doesn't love ponies?
That's right. Well,
I guess that was the thing way back in the day. Sweet 16 pony. I mean, I don't know what era that was, but it was apparently a thing.
That was before
I loved
days
it.
of haberdashery.
I didn't even know I would like it this much as I did. Yeah, me too. Me too, Ash. Me too. Yeah, I've just become completely immersed in Game of Thrones universe, and I think Babak's very happy about that because
I am. It's
because we kind of we use each other. We don't even like each other, but we use each other. But yeah, I guess episode 4 is probably the banger for me. Episode 3 is really good though. The one, that's the one where you get Dunk like kicking and beating the piss out of Ariane, and that cool puppet show where when they stab it, it shoots out a bunch of like paper mache. It's so cool, but it sucks that you don't really get to see what's her name? Tenzil Tutal again, because I guess she is a love interest for Dunk, so maybe we'll see her along the lines. But
I think that it's just kind of a one-off because they didn't really interact that much.
Not really. He just you find out in that flashback that she kind of resembles the girl that he grew up with. Yeah.
Tragic story. I feel like episode 4. Again, this was the most Game of Thrones like episode for me, where they even almost brought back the score, the music score, and they were like,
no, they did bring back the music score.
Yeah, they were like building up to it, and that was Dunk's Oscar-winning moment, where he's at the moment.
Are there no more nights? Are there no more nights?
That's right. His courage deserted the house of the noble houses of Westeros.
Yeah, man. No, they almost like blew their wad in that episode, where after that they're like, shit. Did we just like blow everything we have that's gonna make people like really get the jitters from it? Because they never used the Game of Thrones music again after that.
Yeah. No, honestly, dude, the way that I thought that 5th episode was gonna work out, I thought that we were gonna get that big battle, Game of Thrones quality, and that they would also bring in the Game of Thrones theme music. And, they didn't, which I think something they handled really well. It was the music. I think one of the best things about this whole season was the music and the fact that it's not the Game of Thrones music. They're putting in other genres where they're appropriate just to give you the right feel. And that's exactly what you need from a good music score. They had sort of like the rambling fiddlers, and then they had like that Slavic type of dancing, and then they're there's no more. Yeah, here you go, baby. She wants her pens. But even some jazz, dude. The opening.
The opening was a little jarring with the jazz. It was jarring,
dude. I honestly,
I'm a huge fan of jazz, but that was a little weird. But it was funny because it opens up with the Maester and Lionel, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, anyway. So they really did a really good job of making it fresh and new and different, and I do appreciate that. But I'm in it for Game of Thrones, and season 1 episode 4 was kind of the closest to that. The build up, and all that.
You're in it for Ramsay eating sausage, you are,
dude. Yeah, I saw that guy, the actor who played Ramsay, and like a Peacock friggin' I guess they're trying to do sort of like a HBO thing where they're making a show.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here, brother. Thanks for being here.
All right, Bum Master. Thanks for drinking our cinema. But yeah, dude, they like even Game of Thrones was trying to, even Peacock was trying to get in on this. They got the guy from Ramsay, the guy who played Ramsay, and he's like the lead in this show set during the chariot racing in Rome. You know, like
no.
yeah, it's a little forced, but I mean, it's good for
yeah.
Peacock or whatever, you know. But yeah, that guy's still out there, but you know, it's just so hard to remodel that lightning.
Once you play a guy like Ramsey, you're kind of stuck in that role forever. Like, there's no way you could be in a rom-com after
I know,
that.
right? He's never going to be the romantic interest, is he? Yeah, he's never. I would not trust him at all, ever. It doesn't matter.
You know what's really creepy? You know what's really creepy is that there's a movie coming out with Kit Harington, Jon Snow, and Sophie Turner, Sansa,
and they have to kiss,
and it's like a love story. Like, and there's a behind the scenes footage shot of them kissing, and then as soon as they say cut, they both go because they grew up together. That's so
together.
You couldn't find two other actors, like really. How did that happen?
Game of Thrones was just such a big thing that there's,
you know what? Game of Thrones loves incest. It loves incest. So, you know, there you go. You're always gonna have that. You're always gonna have that.
Yes! Yes! Fuck you too!
So yeah, Babak, do you want to rank the episodes, or do we say what we need to say?
Basically, I feel like the best.
I think I talked
the
about
worst was 5.
Three,
yeah.
I think my favorite are 4, 3, and I think this last one 6.
It was good. It really was compelling, and it got me. At the end a little bit. And I love how you make our development, character development, and they really did a good job of it.
Yeah, me too. And I don't know what their angle is on showing that last scene where Makor's like, "Where the fuck is Egg?" Because again, I know that doesn't play a part in the book, so I'm guessing they're just going to brush it over.
Comic relief. I don't know.
Maybe it was just a funny. Maybe it's just showing the lighthearted spirit of the show. And when we get into season 2, he's going to be like, "Yeah, you're right. I know I'm the Targaryen heir, but you're right, Dunk. I should have just let him go with you."
Yeah. It'll probably be something where like Dunk does some service, or they'll just they'll just gloss over it.
I think they're just gonna gloss over it.
Yeah.
So Ashty's favorite are 1, 3, and 6. Yeah, dude. I think a lot of people love 3. I love 3 as well. Yeah. 4, 3, 6, but yeah, 1 is great.
Ended on a high note where Egg revealed his true self.
That was what was cool about 3. Yeah. But 4 for me is like you said, Babak. It's like the most Game of Thrones. He's got a fucking chamber pot. He's in a fucking cell, and then he has like a conversation with a rat that's trying to get out of the rain. It's like, dude, that is fucking Game of Thrones. Plus that whole buildup of him getting the 6. It's like, God damn, that episode is so good. Because you at the beginning of that episode, he's like, "I got no one. I don't know what the fuck to do." And then it all just kind of like happens for him, and even when it does, because it's Game of Thrones, because it's this universe, it doesn't all turn out to be great. It's dark. It's dark by the end. But yeah, I love this show. I can't wait for Hot D, brother. It's going to be fun. I hope everybody tunes in for that. Coming in June, we're going to do a couple of different short videos on the YouTube channel of me and Babak watching season 2, just like we did for season 1, going into season 2. Should be a lot of fun, and we'll party like rock stars. We'll drink like Baratheons, and and yeah.
Get the hell out of here!
Yeah, man, I can't wait. It's going to be amazing. Like at the end of the Night of the Seven Kingdoms, HBO just immediately looped me into the first episode of the friggin' House of Dragons, and oh my god, dude, the first episode, just the opening, just flying in on the dragons over the city, over King's Landing, it was just amazing, dude. I can't wait to get back into it.
Ashty, before you depart, my lady. Thank you so much. You're a rock star, and I appreciate your knowledge and being here and hanging out with me and Babak for 3 different streaming shows now.
Here's the link.
Yeah, so thank you so much. And Babak, we will reconvene. Well, I'll see you way before that, but we'll reconvene in June and do our House of the Dragon season 3, man.
Can't wait for it. Thanks for being here, everyone. Love you guys.
Thank you so much. This was a huge, huge, huge turnout for this show. I cannot thank you guys enough. Oh my God, there's so many people watching tonight. Thank you guys. I love you all. Babak, stay on the line for a sec.
Absolutely.
You guys have a great night, and
we drink your
cinema. Good line. What's a good line?
We drink your cinema.
No. What's a good House of the Dragon line? Or, God damn it. All right. I'll go with that.